Hey friends, what is up and welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to sit down and talk to you guys all about the books that I read last week. Both of these are a little bit outside of my comfort zone. One is a graphic novel and one is an adult fiction novel, something that I don't normally read, but in 2020 I did tell myself I was going to challenge myself to do things that I don't normally do in all aspects of my life, and I wanted to go ahead and bring that into what I read. So that is why I have both of these. One of them is from a publisher that I do read from, but has a little bit more content than what I am used to reading, you could say. Now, moving forward, I have decided that I'm going to be doing a question of the day for every video. So today's question would be, what does your ideal reading day or night look like? Like, if you could plan the perfect reading day, what would it be? Mine would be like 6 p.m. on a Sunday, windows open, while it is raining, just cuddled up with a big blanket and my cat, like Harry Potter playing on the background, and just read for hours and hours. But let me know down below your ideal reading day. But I'm gonna go and get started and talk about the books that I read this week. The first book that I read is Everything I Never Told You. This was different. This is a book that I bought, I would say almost 2 years ago, year and a half, 2 years ago, that I didn't know if I ever was going to get around to, but I had the desire to read. I have seen this in a lot of different places and heard really good things about it. This is the first book by Celeste that I have read. Basically, this follows our character Lydia. It sort of follows what happens to her, but basically she is found dead one morning, drowned out in the lake, and her family is trying to figure out exactly what has happened. But her parents are Marilyn and James Lee. Marilyn is a just normal American white woman, and James is actually Chinese American. His family does come over. He does end up being a professor at Harvard, and that is how Marilyn meets him. The story starts off very briefly with their interactions and sort of how they start dating, the traumas that they go through, because this book I think takes place in the 80s, and when they get married, obviously years and years before, it is not okay for any immigrants to be marrying. Like, people kind of look at them like this is wrong. Her mom is very adamant about it. So they do kind of face that. Now, fast forward, when Lydia has passed away, they do have 3 children, 2 daughters and a son, and they are left trying to pick up the pieces and sort of put together what necessarily happened to Lydia. The older brother does blame a boy in the neighborhood. The younger daughter her perspective is a little bit weird in the book, but she seems to just more so care about like what's happening around her than necessarily like who did what. But I really, really like this book because if you watched my vlog when I talked about this, it is more of a small town family drama kind of novel. Marilyn and James do put a lot of expectations on their children. And I mentioned in my vlog that seems to be like a reoccurring theme. Like, I see memes about it all the time with like, you know, Asian children and how their parents want them to grow up and be a doctor and, you know, do all these things. And that definitely is mirrored in this. So Marilyn at one point in time does leave the family, and to get her back, Lydia thinks that she basically promises the universe that she will do whatever she can to keep her mom around. And James is very much so, because he's a Chinese immigrant, had trouble making friends and connecting with people. And they do put a lot of those expectations on their kids, because when Marilyn ran away, she's trying to go back to school because that is how her and James met. And she never really wanted to be like the stay-at-home mom kind of type. So when she does come back, she expects Lydia, or accidentally guilts Lydia into becoming basically what she was unable to become. And that's not necessarily what Lydia wants. And James does obviously put a lot of pressure on her when it comes to making friends, and all of his kids making friends. And they both think that they're being very helpful, but Lydia is really poor at communicating exactly how she's feeling. She doesn't really feel like she's able to do that. And that is what I really liked about the story. Now, the overall twists and turns, I wouldn't really say there are a whole lot of them. Definitely in the ending, when you find out what happened to Lydia, that was a big twist of the story. But most of it is more just about small town America, because this happens in a really small town in Ohio. But it's more about like their family and a family dynamic. And I really like that. I didn't realize how much I really liked it until I started reading some of the books that I read so far this year. I would say The Great Alone really showed me that, and then definitely this book. But if you're looking for just a small town family drama kind of novel, like I said, I think you'd really like this. I will say trigger warnings for a couple of things, like to an extent I would say like mental abuse on the parents' part, not necessarily on purpose, but definitely something that I think could resonate with a lot of people. So just be aware of that. But I really like this. I ended up giving it 4 stars, and I am really excited to read the other book by her that I have. And the next book that I have here is called Be Prepared. Now, this is a graphic novel by, publishing company is First Second. I have read a lot of books by them. There is actually a video going up on either Thursday or Friday that has a lot of graphic novels from this company in it. But I really like this. So this follows our main character, Vera, who I believe this is sort of like autobiographical. The author sort of writes about her life, I think, in this. But basically, Vera is a young Russian immigrant that has moved to the United States. I don't know if she is necessarily like first generation, second generation, they don't really go into that, but her mom is in school and is trying to kind of make a life for her kids because she is a single mother. So Vera and her brother both go to school, like a normal public school, but they're having trouble sort of assimilating, which is weird because I feel like there are themes of that in both of these books, which I really appreciated. But this is obviously from a Russian perspective, like this is like Russian American, and I'm not necessarily familiar with that. But basically what happens is Vera's not really able to assimilate into like normal school, and all of her friends go away to like summer camp. So one year she decides that she's going to go away to a summer camp because while she is at church, she finds out that there's a Russian summer camp. And a lot of this graphic novel follows her trying to sort of discover herself and figure out who she is and where she sort of fits. But the beauty of this is even at the Russian camp where she thinks she's going to fit in perfectly, she actually still struggles. But a lot of really good, I think, ideas can be got from this. There is a lot about finding yourself and finding value in yourself even alone. And then also the correct way to make friends, because there are older girls that she's sort of stuck with because she's right on the cusp of being 10 years old, which is like the age where you'd be with the older kids. But while obviously she is still much younger, so she's not with the younger kids. So to try to impress the older kids, there are some questionable things that do happen. And I really liked the themes of that. I think that this is important to read. I gave it 4 stars. I wouldn't give it 5, and I don't necessarily think that I'd ever read it again. But I thought it was really cute because I think it has a lot, like I said, a lot of themes that most people would benefit from reading. So it was really good. The art style is a bit weird to me. It's done in like a green. I don't know if you guys can tell on camera. A lot of first, second comics have like a color theme. Like some of them are blue, some of them are pink. Like Laura Dean Keeps Breaking Up With Me, I think is pink. Bloom is like a really pretty blue color. So I do like the overall like theme of the book sort of matching like the inside of the book at the same time. But like I said, I did really like this. Not my favorite that I've ever read from them, but not a bad one by any means. I gave it 4 stars. Alright guys, so those are the books that I read last week. Not too much. I'm actually in the middle of a buddy read for Wilder Girls, which you guys will see on my channel probably next week in my What I Read. I'm hoping to finish that tonight. I'm about halfway through. And then I'm also reading Summer of '69 and really liking that. I'm also about halfway through that. So I did only read 2 books, but I have been slowly, steadily making my way through 2 other books. But you will see a wrap up for both of those and hopefully a few more next week. But I hope you guys are having an excellent week. Like I said, let me know down below your ideal reading situation, and I will see you in the next one.